Sometimes the best way to come up with an action plan is to look at what you would do to have the worst case outcome, right? So if you're looking to, get into shape, what is the thing that you could do to not get into shape or get into the worst shape of your life? Same thing happens when we look at health in general. So as morbid as it sounds, I want you to take a second and just look at what death is. Death is the cessation of motion, right? There is no more motion occurring in the body. So what can we do to get healthy? I'm Dr. Jeff Cumro down at Better Life Chiropractic Wellness. Over the past 15 years, I've been blessed to work with over 5,000 people, helping them optimize their brain function, helping them optimize their body function, and ultimately supply the energy to those areas so that no matter what type of environment they're in, they can get the outcome they want. If they're trying to learn, they can focus on learning better. If they're trying to, play a sport or get ahead in their career, they can focus on that stuff. If they're just trying to relax and go to sleep, they're better able to do that. So when we can match up our outcomes or our outputs from our body to our environment that we're currently in, we tend to have better success. So, like I said, if we look at what death is just the cessation of motion. And a lot of people probably haven't thought about it in this way, but a lot of people probably haven't thought of this, right? Because it's, like I said, it is kind of a morbid thought here a little bit, but it's something that I think is important to understand health in general. When we look at blood, it moves throughout the body, right? It's pumped by the heart and it moves throughout the body. When we look at the brain creates an impulse and it moves throughout the nerves to the rest of the body. When we talk about, the processes that happen, inside of a joint, the joint moves and it pushes out the waste products and it pulls in the nutrients. All of these are similar. We can look at the membranes. The membranes constantly have a flow of different chemicals coming across them, different nutrients, different elements, different things like that are needed to keep everything going. Everything in life is movement. And when we stop that movement, that's where we see a loss of some level of health, right? If we don't have blood moving as freely through our blood vessels, what do we have? We have strokes or we have heart disease, right? What happens if we don't have nerve impulses flowing as freely through things? We have some sort of nervous system disorder, whether that be a stroke causing it, whether that be a concussion causing it, whether that be MS, whatever that may be. But that stop in motion is ultimately where we see a change in health in general. And it's not just motion that we need to look at in this, though. So what would lead us more toward that? What would make motion more difficult for us? Injuries, right? If we have injuries that lead up to things, that's going to make it more difficult. If we have, a lack of physical capability, so if we just let ourselves sit around all the time, we decondition our muscles, we decondition all of our tissues, our lungs aren't able to supply everything, our heart's not able to supply everything, our muscles get weak, that would lead toward that cessation of motion. If we look at having a poor diet, increased inflammation is going to make movement harder. All of these things start to stack up. So we can start to compare this. What can we do in the opposite to get away from that? We can start eating better. If we improve our diet, we decrease our inflammation, we have better nutrients that are able to supply those muscles and all these other processes that are constantly going on in our body. And when we have that, we have better health, right? We can have better motion. And it's going to be important to do multiple different types of motion, right? Because there are multiple different systems that go throughout the body. Like we talked, everything in the body is moving. And so the more types of movement that we have in our life, the better we're going to fire that. Creating nerve impulses, so actually using our brains for things, whether that be reading or learning something or taking a new route to work or whatever it may be, when we can put more new nerve impulses in there and get different areas of the brain working in different ways, stimulating that motion in there, we start to see better health. We have to sleep. If we don't sleep, we fatigue and we're unable to move. So you start stacking all of this stuff together and it just creates a very clear picture, and we can see the foundational things of health. We can see hydration, we can see, sleep, we can see movement, we can see diet, we can see stress management. We see all of these foundational things. And a lot of what we're doing in today's healthcare system is not foundational, right? Here, take this medication and see how that changes things. That's not a foundational aspect of health. Hey, you know what? You need this therapy over here. Is that therapy actually going to help us? If it's not making us move or changing our diet or different things like that, it may help us, but it's not really creating health the way that we want it to. And that's, like I said, that's where a lot of us are being held back by our current system, is we're doing things that may give us the appearance of doing better. We're reducing symptoms, but we're not actually doing those foundational things, the movement and the sleep, the stress management and the diet, and all of those things that actually create health. And this is a tactic that it's not just for health. I mean, if you're trying to succeed in any area of life, it's helpful to look at that opposite side and say, these are the things that I would do to destroy my health. Do the opposite of that, right? These are the things that I would do to destroy my sleep. Do the opposite of that. Have a sleep routine. Make sure that you're getting to bed and getting up at the same time of the day. Make sure that you're getting off of blue light, an hour before you go to bed. Make sure that you're doing some stretching or something to kind of wind yourself down before you go to bed. Make sure you're staying hydrated, because that's important for sleep. If you put all of these things together, you do the opposite of what you would do to destroy it. It just gives you a very clear picture of what you can do to help build it. So I hope that this is helpful. Like I said, I know that this is kind of a strange topic to cover, because it is kind of morbid to look at some of this, but it's an important aspect of things. When we have, a better, clearer picture of what we need to do, everything is easier. That's part of the problem with diet right now, is everybody, which diet should I do? Should I do this diet over here? Should I do this diet over here? I tried this diet over here and it worked really well, but I couldn't sustain it. So, maybe I'm trying this diet, and it's just a very convoluted thing. Eat healthy meats, eat fruits, eat vegetables. Very simple. It limits the number of options that you have, right? Which is going to be a good thing for you. When we have less options, it makes it easier to make those choices. So look at the areas of your life that you're trying to improve, and look at what you would do to destroy those areas, and what can you do to just stack and make it as easy as possible to succeed in those areas. So I hope you find this helpful. If you do, please like or subscribe. It gives me good information as far as what I can provide to help you keep moving forward in your life. As always, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I know that those are your most valuable resources. I appreciate you spending some of those with me, and I will catch you on next week's video.